Okay. All right. So this is Multimodal Weekly, which is a virtual webinar series hosted by the team at TwelveLabs. For so many of you have been here before. For those who are new, this is our community initiatives on a weekly basis to discuss different topics relevant to the AI space that TwelveLabs is operating on. And a lot of times it included these kind of things, right? Everything ranging from researchers coming and talk about multimodal AI foundation models. We have developers, founders building application top of technology that coming and talk about the different projects with internal team members, developers, builders who use our API, talk about how to use our platform APIs, and of course we have partners, right, who come in and showcase the integration with our technology. This is just some quick samples of some of the recent session. Everything ranging from team members talking about building advertising use cases to partner talking about how to use open source model, developers talking about different projects they build during hackathon at TwelveLabs, as well as the researchers talking about the cutting edge of what's going on in multimodal video understanding. Today's session, I'm super excited to have a joy presentation with some of our partners, namely TrackIt and AWS. So we have three speakers today that dive into the exciting topic of social listening in retail. So we have Jordan Goods from TwelveLabs, Thibaut from TrackIt, and Daniel Kwang from AWS. So the content of this webinar, they will focus on showcasing how our technologies together can help transform influencer product reviews into actionable insights by ingesting video content, analyzing sentiment using the models, and visualizing the results to an intuitive dashboard. We see a lot of interesting application in shopping, social media, advertising. So throughout this session, we will demonstrate how our joint solution together can help harness the power of social influencers, run videos on different social platforms, to unlock real-time consumer sentiment at scale. This is actually the second time we did this together with the folks at TrackIt and AWS. Last time was focused on spot highlight generation. Right? So this time is focusing on advertising and different use cases. Just a quick note on the logistic of the event. For the attendees, feel free to send your question on Zoom chat, and then we'll have an interactive Q&A session after the speaker finish. And just to tease out the context of the event, our team has prepared a Sizzle reel that demonstrates very short 2 minutes Sizzle reel that demonstrate how social listening can be accomplished with TwelveLabs. So I would love to display this video real quick, and then after it finished, we can pass it on to the presentation.
Too many people near me. Everyone's just like.
The detail on the knits is just incredible. We've got 2x2 ribbing.
Must in my accessories collection. I bought both of them off from Etsy. I think.
Just gives the whole look a super chilled business casual vibe.
I thought this was going to be more like a powder pastel blue, but this is more like
So that's a quick demo of different various use cases of social listening that we can use your technology. Okay, so I would love to pass it to the presenter. Right now we have yeah, it looks like we have a pretty full room now with 20+ attendees. So Daniel, do you want to start sharing your screen?
Thank you, James. Oop. Let's do presenter view. All right. So, quick introduction of myself. My name is Daniel. I'm the solutions architect um, assigned to TwelveLabs. I've been with AWS since November. I joined the generative AI startups team, and my job as a generative AI startup solutions architect is to help startups like TwelveLabs succeed and scale on the cloud, such as how today I am presenting alongside with them. And today I'm going to talk to you about how AWS supports the generative AI stack. So first, I'm going to focus on applications to boost productivity. In particular, I'm going to focus on Amazon Q. Now, Amazon Q is a suite of generative AI assistants. It accomplishes various tasks, and there's a lot of different variants of Amazon Q. Don't be overwhelmed. I assure you, they all do something very different from each other. And once you dive deep into each of them, you will start understanding. But um, I'm just going to touch on them on a few of them on a surface level right now. So for business use cases, we have Amazon Q for business and Amazon Q and QuickSight, which will allow you to connect to your company data and visualize them. We have Amazon Q Developer, which can integrate with your coding IDEs to help you with your coding with your coding. And then we also have more specialized use cases such as Amazon Q and Connect and Amazon Q's AWS supply chain for customer service and supply chain purposes, respectively. And next, I'm going to focus on models and tools to build generative AI apps. And by that, I really mean I'm going to focus on Amazon Bedrock, which is technically an Amazon service, but at this point, it's more of an AWS ecosystem to support generative AI applications. So it can do a lot of things for generative AI. You can, of course, build applications, you can customize models, you can import foundation models, you can perform retrieval augmented generation, and it also has a lot of support for security, privacy, and safety and agents, right? And I want to focus on two features in particular. The first is on the security of Bedrock. Now, by using Bedrock, first and foremost, understand that Bedrock is a fully managed service. And by being a fully managed service, you get all of the benefits that come with a fully managed service, such as, in this case, security and compliance. For example, we emphasize that none of the customer's data on Bedrock is used to train any underlying model, and all data is encrypted in transit and at rest. Another interesting factoid is even the individual models, foundation models themselves on Bedrock need to go through a FedRAMP or DoD level of approval, right? And these models, and we will announce them, and some of these models are already pre-approved for these compliance standards on Bedrock. And we also support other compliance standards such as GDPR, SOC 2, and HIPAA, and even HIPAA eligibility. Another feature I want to emphasize on Bedrock is guardrails, which, as its name implies, helps protect your generative AI applications from things like, say, foul language, prompt injections. You can even remove personally identifiable information and filter out hallucinations. And last, I want to talk about infrastructure to build and train AI models. So obviously, we have accelerator chips such as Trainium, Inferentia, and of course, NVIDIA graphics processing units. But I want to focus on SageMaker AI, which in of itself is also is technically an AWS service, but is essentially an ecosystem for building, training, and deploying machine learning models, as including foundation models. Through Amazon, through SageMaker Jumpstart, you can access the latest and publicly available models. You can build customized foundation models, run and deploy models for inference, and probably for most important and very underappreciated is it's one of the few, if not only, ways to guarantee model IP protection and data privacy, i.e., protect the model provider's weights and also protect the customer, the end user's data privacy. And with that, I will hand it off to TwelveLabs. Jordan's on mute.
Unmuted. All right, sorry about that. On the TwelveLabs side, so the shoot, here we go. So I'm Jordan Woods. I'm a solution architect out of Los Angeles. Been with TwelveLabs for a couple of months now. And TwelveLabs has been around since 2021. It's grown over 100 employees, so it's a pretty fast-moving startup, headquartered in San Francisco as well as South Korea. We already have a number of large media entertainment companies and sports companies, and then we're backed by some of the largest companies in the world, like NVIDIA and the, places like Radical Ventures, as well as partners with AWS, Snowflake, Databricks, Oracle, a lot of the big players out there, and really kind of helped us kind of grow in this market. Even as fast paced as we're moving, right? So we also have a lot of different security compliances out there, especially the ones that Daniel talked about, and we're in Bedrock now, so that also is helping us in a lot of that security elements. So if you need to stay in your own environment, Bedrock is a great place for that as well. But so today, when we're talking about what we're doing here with video, especially when we're talking about social listening campaigns, video is very difficult to stay ahead of and to build metadata and to understand what's going on in your video, right? So if you're using humans today, it's slow, costly, it's not consistent. So if you're expecting people to be tagging and understanding the metadata that's out there, it's just very difficult, right? So you need to be able to have things that are consistent and automated, and ways to actually go through all of that data that's out there to generate that information. If you're looking at general purpose large language models, or even computer vision models out in the past, most of them look on a frame by frame basis. So it can be decent in a general sense, but it can miss context, especially over time, right? So for an example, if we're looking at something like Kramer coming into the room in an episode of Seinfeld, if you're looking at a frame by frame basis, you might just have, oh, Kramer's in the room, but you may not understand that he just burst through the door or something had happened before it, right? So understanding the context of the scenario is something that's very important to video, that you won't get by just doing small frame by frame analysis where your model is generally guessing at what happens, right? So TwelveLabs takes it at the approach of understanding the segment as a whole. We do have two models, so a little bit of history under the hood here. So we have Marengo and Pegasus. They are kind of our basic foundation models, and they're some of the best of the breed out there, comparing against Google, OpenAI, Anthropic, and so on, and the open models out there. So we're constantly out there benchmarking and seeing how good these models are at understanding your video and getting it to the point where the machine will function as if it's a human in terms of understanding what's actually going on in the video. How they actually operate. So the two different models, Marengo and Pegasus. Marengo, you can think of a little bit more of the search side of it. So we're going to create that vector embedding. We're going to go out and we're going to search across those embeddings, across your entire index, and bring back that information. So if it's something simple as, show me all the people in a red shirt, it's going to bring all those little elements of those videos, and you'll be able to search across that, and each of those timestamps that are according to that search, right? Pegasus is a little bit deeper in that sense of, it'll also create the vector embeddings, but you're able to do that analysis that brings further information about those videos as well. So in terms of being actually able to generate the metadata about the video, highlight summaries, a gist, titles, you name it, right? It's the video language model, so it's a bit deeper context behind that information. We do have a playground, so you can go to 12labs.io and you can sign up, and we give users 10 hours to kind of play with the system. So you can upload your footage and you can test and play with it. So when you go in and you upload, this is kind of one of the scenes that the screens that you would see in the first search. So something like a white see-through blazer, it's going to bring up all of those instance of those files and that time code associated with it. You'll be able to click on it, play that section of the video and understand what it's getting at. You can also work with the APIs as well on the back end to see what type of information you're able to get back out of that. And then Pegasus, when you play with that side, this is the analyze function of the playground when you're playing with this, or via the APIs as well. This is where you're going to be able to get information about a specific clip, right? So in this instance, generate timestamps for a highlight reel containing the most impactful moments of this fashion show. So it's going out, it's going to bring you those timestamps back with that information of that section. So this is great for something if you have like an automated pipeline, you'll be able to take these timestamps and create a kind of a cut down list or automated highlights that's going to go out and maybe automatically published to YouTube's or to other different types of social media platforms out there. So it'd be very powerful, this type of information you get back, and very flexible as well. But today, what we're looking at specifically with this social listening campaign, we're looking at solving these challenges that are out there, right? So we all kind of understand the idea of the influencer and how much importance that they have over brands and opinions, and being able to stay on top of that perception within minutes to hours and be able to have actually be able to react to that too, right? So you're going to want that real-time insight. You want to be able to timely detect that negative, positive sentiment. You want to be able to get a response on that brand. The other important part, which is very difficult, is to have that data completeness. So a lot of, obviously people have been trying to tackle this challenge for many years, right? So out there in other large language models, you might be pulling back text-based information and running your social listening campaigns on just that sort of transcription that's out there. While decent, it's still missing a bit more of that information. So you may not be able to get that vocal inflections or the facial expressions or other things that are in the video. So it's really important to have that multimodal awareness of those videos that are out there in the social information for your retail brands. So there's a high volume of content that's out there. This is pretty obvious, right? We're talking thousands of hours that are uploaded every minute. It might even be more than maybe hundreds of thousands of hours. So it's very difficult to stay on top of all of that information out there. And if you have manual intervention, it's physically actually impossible to do that. As well as it's hard to remain objective in terms of your interpretation. So it's important that you have some type of objective standard across all of that different media, across all the different influencers that are out there, so that you're applying the same standard across the board so you can compare those type of results as you bring that data back. Of course, you're going to want something that's not going to have a slow response time, because there's so much footage being uploaded. You want to have an automated system set in place to constantly review that footage and stay away from avoiding, manually tagging. So how Pegasus actually helps this. So in the sense of adding that automated sentiment detection, Pegasus can go out there, based on an automated pipeline, right? We're going to be going out, we're going to analyzing the audio, we're going to analyze the facial cues, the contextual video information, things in the background. We'll be able to generate information that's coming back off of that, whether it's a positive, neutral, negative sentiment. We'll be able to actually find that information about those, what that influencer thinks about your brand, and then deliver that or elevate that so that you'll be able to pay attention, whether that's important to look at or not important to look at. So we're able to bring that type of information to you. We're going to be, if you're integrating those into the social media APIs, we'll be able to be out there continuously scraping, looking at the relevant brands, and then delivering, near real-time feedback. Obviously, there's analysis being run, but it should be as close to real-time as possible as it's going through all those different videos. And then, of course, that's going to bring you a contextual, deep understanding of what's out there, right? So beyond looking at the keywords, like I said before, it's not just doing the transcription and looking at the words that are out there. While we definitely do that, we're actually able to pull more information. We're going to find what's kind of behind those meanings, what's their facial impressions, what's going on with like their tones. Is there something more? Is there something sarcastic that's happening in this that's going to be beyond just the words that you're getting out of a transcription? And then, of course, all of this is scalable, especially, working with teams like AWS. Will be able to handle those thousands, tens of thousands, millions of hours of content that you need to go through to pull this type of information that's out there, especially on some of the larger brands that are, impacting the world on a global scale. And then we'll go into the workflow with TrackIt.
Thank you, Jordan.
Sure.
So first I introduce myself. So I'm Thibaut, working in TrackIt for 8 years now, as an engineering manager. So we are a cloud integration company, working exclusively with the cloud of AWS. We now have about 75 plus employees worldwide. Our headquarters is in LA, and our engineering team is spread across the world, mainly US, France, and Brazil. And we have more than 65 certification, so it's a good ratio. Our expertise is mainly media, so anything about VOD, OTT, obviously Gen AI, and the machine learning, transcoding, MAM augmentation, media supply chain, CDN migration, and studio in the cloud. That's only examples. And we also do more generic cloud native development, such as application modernization. We can do front-end, back-end, DevOps. We are full stack. We have UX, UI team as well, and we can do mobile development. So now, what is social listening? So I present this quickly. So social listening is mainly listening to the social networks, the text-based social networks initially, such as X, LinkedIn, Facebook, and much more. And today we are going to see the difference and how to do social media listening. So social media listening is very similar, but it's for media-based social network such as TikTok, YouTube, or Instagram. We are focusing today on video, so Instagram Reels, for example. And the main challenge with this is obviously the content type, which is a video, so it's a more complex content type than text. It's very unstructured. There's a high throughput, so even higher than text base in terms of size, in terms of payload, like of the content, since it's video. We also need, so as Jordan said earlier, we need obviously a real-time pipeline. And there's a variety of platforms. So we've seen TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, but there's many more out there. And the challenge of the video, like the main challenge, the hardest, I would say, is the sentiment extraction of the video. Like not just the caption, but really what's happening in the video, like the facial, like everything, as Jordan said, like everything happening in the video, the sentiments, the tone, and so on. And so that was really the hardest part of the social media listening that is now solved with TwelveLabs. So what would be the solution there? So we built a proof of concept, and so which I'll present you. So our journey is first to scrape the platforms to get all the video and the feed of video. So we focus on TikTok today, but obviously it works with all platforms. The goal is to get the video we want. So we tried two approaches. The first one is to search by a keyword. So let's say you are an electronic company, like a manufacturer, like a smartphone manufacturer, and you just released the new smartphone. So you want to know how it's performing, you know, for the customers. So you want to see their sentiments and everything. So what we tried is by looking for a keyword such as smartphone or the name of the smartphone, like the model, but it wasn't very effective, and we would rely a lot on like for example, the TikTok algorithm to search for the videos according to that keyword. The second approach we did was to listen to a curated list of influencers, and that was the best approach. So for example, if you're a manufacturing company, you probably have like a list of 1,000 influencers you want to listen, like influencers that do review, like smartphone reviews or electronic reviews around the world, right? And so you have 1,000 or 10,000 influencers. And so now you can hook the pipeline to those feeds, like to the channels of each influencer, and that is more valuable because now you can deal with an already curated feed of video. The second filter so that was just the scraping part. The second filter is a filter on the metadata. Because if you have a list of 10,000 influencers, you probably don't want to analyze each video of the 10,000 influencers. So first, we do a first filter on metadata, such as the title, the description, the caption, and the comments, because comments say a lot of your video. And we analyze all those text-based information with a standard and tiny LLM, which is Amazon Nova Lite, which is very tiny, very cheap, and it can tell us easily and reliably if the video is about your product or not. If it's about your product, we proceed and we do the video analysis with TwelveLabs, which gives much more information, much more accurate, and all the subtle information as well, like such as the sentiment. So for this specific proof of concept, we focused on the sentiments only, like for example, satisfaction, disappointment, and so on. But we could also focus on problems, like we could make a list of all the problems of your new smartphone, for example, and produce a summary at the end, or I don't know, an Excel sheet, for example, with all your problems. But for now, we just focused on sentiments, like from 0 to 1. And so then we have the data transformation. So from all the sentiments, we average them, we do some data transformation, and we build the dashboard, a real-time dashboard with quick sites. And so you can see your like real-time, like for example, satisfaction on your project. So really quickly, the architecture diagram. So this is a very, very simple architecture diagram, not production ready, of our solution. So the first thing is a user would do a request to analyze like all those influencers for a specific keyword. These go to a queue. The queue is consumed by a Lambda, and the Lambda will fetch all the videos for each influencer from TikTok, and for all the videos will query Amazon Nova for the first filter on the comments, all the metadata. And if the video is is eligible or talking about your keywords, we'll analyze the video like more deeply in TwelveLabs. And with TwelveLabs, with the results from TwelveLabs, we are going to do all the data transformation in that same Lambda. And we are going to upload it to an S3, which will be fetched in QuickSight. So very quickly for the prompt. So I've seen a lot of prompts, and I wanted to spend just 2-3 minutes to give some tips, very easy tips about how to build a prompt. For example, this prompt is bad, right? It's there's not much context and it lacks a lot. So we'll see how we can improve that prompt. First thing is to go on a prompt builder, the prompt builder of your model. There are many prompt builders, so each model is trained differently and so needs a different prompt and is optimized with different prompt. For example, I did this one for Amazon Nova because that's what we use for the metadata. Amazon Nova likes Markdown, so the prompts would be more efficient in the Markdown format. So for example, for the output, so as an output, I don't know if you see here the examples. I output JSON. So Amazon Nova is very good at JSON. Gemini is better with JSON schema, so you would give the output as JSON schema, and it will output a JSON, but respecting that JSON schema. And Cloud is better with XML. So here, as I said, it's Markdown and JSON. Another tip is the prefilling. So for example, if you want to output JSON, but sometimes your model like talk a bit before, like based on the context, here's the result, and it starts to write the JSON. If you have this issue, go with prefilling. Prefilling is a way to add a response, like if it was the assistant, like the AI, and here you prefill with this character, which will start the JSON. So now the AI is forced, to write the JSON. The next tip, very important, is the examples. Always give examples to your model. That will be way more efficient. So here I gave 2 examples. So true, like the thinking, and true false if the video is about my topic or my keyword. Then we have the guided chain of thought. Actually, it's the other way around. So this one is the free chain of thought. So this is to tell the LLM like think step by step and detail your reasoning. So the LLM will just think by itself before answering. So this is the free chain of thought. This is very efficient for a complex decision, and for also tiny models that cannot really that needs to think before answering. And the guided chain of thought is a bit the same thing, but you guide it, you guide the model, so you give the steps of the thinking. So that was my little tips. Now the demo. So here you would type a topic. So here I would type for example, my smartphone model. That's my curated list of influencer. I just run the analysis. And here for the example, I took some feelings. So as I said, like satisfaction, disappointment, and a lot. And that's just a thing to limit the proof of concept to 50 videos per influencer, because we don't want to analyze the whole channel. And my curated list of influencer below. So when the analysis is complete, it gives something like that. So a bunch of different charts that can be totally personalized. So that's just examples. So let's focus on those 3. So here, for example, we have the average confidence and excitement by region about your product. So you can tell it works better in, I don't know, in the US than in any other country. We have the average play count, so meaning your video did a lot of view in some country. About your products, it's always about your product. And we have the feeling over time. So very interesting. How is the feeling? Maybe it's a very good feeling or very bad feeling at first, and then you did some updates, and the feeling, is better. So that's all the sentiments, like everything we can extract from the videos, thanks to TwelveLabs. And obviously, you can have much more. That was just a proof of concept. So you can imagine a lot more. And thank you very much, James. I will let you conclude.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Thibaut, for the detailed walkthrough of the code. So, yeah, as you can see, there's a couple of QR codes you can that you see in the slide, which will take the audience to different links, whether the detailed guide using TwelveLabs model and Amazon Bedrock, some context about our company and our website, as well as the technical blog post that the TrackIt team has produced for this. Yeah, I personally really enjoyed Thibaut detailed walkthrough on tips and tricks of prompt engineering, with structure output, train of thought, few examples. I think provide those kind of contexts, right, is extremely important in order to get the best result from the LLMs. And I think same thing here with Pegasus as well. So we also thinking a lot about how we can enable developers and users to maximize the utility of using a model. So techniques like that are super useful, and I'm sure a lot of folks will, find informative as they play around with our models. Yeah, and so we have about like 15 minutes left for the webinar. So for the audience, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and just ask them live on the call, and folks can, the presenters can answer them.
I see a question from Roger S. in the
Yep.
chat.
Yep. Jordan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I mean, right. I believe it's asking about a series of images. I mean, right now it's predominantly video focused. We can do images for doing that type of image search against the videos, but at the moment, I wouldn't say really our images are strong suit per se.
Okay. People, do you have a question here in the chat?
So how do we fetch TikTok videos? For this proof of concept, we used a third party that scrapes TikTok videos for us, and that exposes an API, like a very simple API. And that third party actually is actually compatible with Instagram and YouTube too. So it helps us, it helps us a lot, yeah, because officially TikTok has no API, for example. The only API they have is for research, like not commercial use. So yeah, but there's third party for that.
Mhm. Thibaut, do you have a live deployment of this app, or is it only local environment?
We have a live deployment on AWS.
Is it like publicly accessible? Anyone can play around with it?
No, it's not, unfortunately.
So like you need like AWS credentials, setting up everything
Correct.
in order to like create.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering if you like have it up so we can like walk through it. Live demo, like a live demo was, um, if not, then that's fine, because I think some of the insight analysis visualization part is pretty cool. So it might be interesting to like just take a look at that.
Yeah, if anybody wants to dive deeper or have a demo in person, we're happy to do that as well. Like over a Zoom call.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't see any more question, at least for now. I guess, from the like for next step of this application, right? What are the like enhancement like that, you think we can improve the quality of the results, whether it's in terms of architecture choice or prompt engineering? And that question go for both Daniel and Jordan as well. If you like want to plug any like novel design with AWS services, etc.
So you asked what are some optimizations you can do with prompt engineering
How do we like take this application further to the next step?
to the next step?
Yeah.
Well, today we only demonstrated TwelveLabs first party primarily today, but now that TwelveLabs is integrated into Bedrock, and like I mentioned before, Bedrock is fully managed service, so we can now use a lot of the features in Bedrock and the rest of AWS and integrate them with TwelveLabs. For example, S3 Vectors was released very recently, and of course, as its name implies, it's a S3 Vectors is a feature of Amazon service S3, and this will allow you to create a embedded vector. It's not a database, but more like an object storage, and this can save you considerable costs versus a true vector embedding database. You could save up to 90% of your cost versus a service versus you could save 90% of your cost versus a true serverless embedding database by using S3 vectors. And of course, that's only available through AWS. So that's one way we can take it further.
Yeah, I'm curious in that case, how do you think embeddings will be relevant for like the social listening workflows?
Yeah, so embeddings are very important for just search in general. So in the back end, when you're doing a search, what's happening is you're taking your video and converting them into vectors, and then you have to store the vectors. And every time you do a search, your query is turned into a vector itself, and then compared to all of the existing embedding vectors, and that's how the search is performed, right? But at the end of the day, that means you still need to store the index vectors somehow, right? So that's one very important thing to keep in mind. Yeah, I'm not sure what else if that truly answered your question or if you want me to elaborate on it.
Um, yeah, no, I think like I'm just I do understand the technical aspect of it. I think just in the context of the social listening use cases, right? Like, perhaps like search would be relevant for
Yeah, search can
uh,
be very relevant. So one thing that's important is like you may need to do like a large batch of searches, right? Like maybe you have a lot of users searching at the same time, like millions of searches, or
mhm.
maybe like hundreds, thousands of searches from thousands of users simultaneously. So you need to parallelize that somehow while keeping costs low. So that might be something that's very important.
For sure, yeah. And in this context of TikTok and short form content, I think recommendation is another big use cases that we explored in the past. If you can enhance like this social listening workflow with like recommendation of
Mhm.
clips, right? And that is, I think, is a very, very powerful uh, utility of semantic
Mhm.
embedding based recommendation.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought of that about that. Like every time I do a search on TikTok or YouTube, I hope the search result is correct. But if I wanted some more granularity search, like um I want like for example, I want to find all clips when Kramer jumps out of a door, right? Maybe this would be a good opportunity use case for that.
John, do you want to add any more color in context from the model from the 12 side? Any interesting
Um,
discussion? We can take it further.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, in terms of this workflow, for sure, it's also at a high level getting that information that we're pulling back from the social listening side back to the production side of it, right? So it's now that you have the information, it's like, okay, well, what does it do? And primarily that idea of what you're producing next. So if you are producing social content, so if it's going back to the advertisement side of it, that information is going to be directly related to what you're producing next. Or if it's purely in that social listening side, it's what influencers are you targeting now, right? So now that you actually have that data of what's actually coming back, what's important, or how these people are thinking, it's how you're actually acting upon it, right? So it's a little bit more generic, but it's thinking those through those next steps of what you actually what you can do with that data now that you have it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
And like advertising is like a very big vertical use cases for TwelveLabs, and we definitely see some of these workflows before, like leveraging this insights metadata in order
Yeah.
to whether it's provide better matching the right ads, right, with the right footage, or like shopping, like provide the right products.
Yeah,
And-
100%. Yeah. Eventually we'll get into this era where the advertising side will start utilizing the generative AI to do those next steps of it and utilizing this information. So understanding what the consumer wants and what's out there and what's popular. And then when that video is generated, besides being manually generated, maybe the AI is also adding some elements to it because now it has the information of what's out there. I know it's a little futuristic-ish, but man, it's coming fast.
Great. Okay, I think that's the wrap up in our discussion. Unless no one else have any follow-up discussion point or question, I think we can conclude the webinar. Appreciate the speaker, Daniel, Jordan, and Thibaut for reserving time this Friday morning to working over this workflow. The recording will be available on a public YouTube page by early next week. And yeah, if you have any for follow-up question on how to use it, you can reach out to us, any of us. And Alex mentioned like he happy to showcase like the a live demo of it for anyone who's interested. And we hope to do a lot of more of these partner webinars to showcase the awesome workflows that our team has been collaborating with. Thanks everyone, and hope you all have a good rest of your weekend. Cheers.
Thanks all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.